A16Z drops the abundance agenda. If you are interested in having wealthy individuals and huge investment companies give you money to build various AI apps, this is a very interesting read. All right, so let's start here. The A16Z, the abundance agenda. So A16Z is a venture capital firm. They put tons of money into various tech things. They've been doing it for quite a while. This is Mark Andreessen. So A16Z is also called Andreessen Horowitz because it gets its A, then 16 letters, then Z. So A16Z. This is Mark. So he sold one of the earliest internet browsers, Mosaic, and co-founded Netscape, sold to AOL for $4.2 billion. And then since then, he's been putting this money into various internet technologies and doing extremely well with it. And now he's doubling down on AI. And so they're talking about how today's luxuries are tomorrow's commodities, basically where a lot of things that used to be very expensive, that were kind of hard to get, that were only available to the top 1%, will now become much more accessible with the use of AI. And before we dive into what they're going to be talking about here, I think this is the thing to understand. Here's what this report is saying, right? If we kind of just translate it to the most basic thing possible, they're saying, if you build this, we will shove lots of money at you. So whether you're an app builder that's trying to get acquired or trying to get investment or not, maybe you're an investor, maybe you're just somebody looking to make money during this AI boom, here are the people that are saying, these are the ideas, these are the areas that will be important. Here are the problems that will need to get solved that has lots of sort of money-making potential behind it. So it's important to understand that these people, this is what they do for a living. They invest in cutting edge technologies. They think about how those technologies make money, how they acquire users. So in other words, these aren't just like guesses by people who don't know what they're talking about. Doing any one of these could very likely lead to building a 7, 8, 9-figure company. Or even if you're not building an AI app, kind of playing in these arenas, that's where the interest is. That's where the money is. That's where all the investors who are also reading, this thing by A16Z, that's where they're looking to allocate their money. So for example, here when they're talking about productivity, they're saying, here's what we're looking for. In other words, AKA dollar signs, right? So they're saying agents that act as systems of action. And if you've seen the previous few videos that I did in the last couple of days, that's literally what we're talking about, right? 2024 will be the year of the AI agent, of the autonomous AI agent. That's what everybody's heading towards. So they're saying we expect to see general agents that can complete common consumer tasks like booking a restaurant or finding and sending a gift to a friend. However, we're also anticipating specialized agents fine-tuned for specific and complex tasks like data analysis and marketing automation. The latter may be first to market as they narrow the scope of requests and actions they need to reliably fulfill. And they have a few examples here of that's funny. So this is MultiOn. Literally, I just published a video on this yesterday. I finally got access to the beta of MultiOn, which is just sort of being rolled out to the general public. And it's good. It's really good. It's really good in its ability to find. Let me actually show you really fast. All right, so really fast. So I'm going to search for, I'm going to ask it. I can just ask it to do whatever. So find a table in La Jolla, California for Valentine's Day and book it around sunset time. Do it. So it might not be able to do it unless you're logged into specific things. So if you wanted to do something on Amazon, you have to be logged into Amazon. And so here it begins thinking about what it needs to be doing, how it's going to carry out that task. It's thinking through the problems that could reach. For example, so sorry if you can see that too well. So for example, here it found open table San Diego. It's looking for the sunset time in La Jolla, California on February 14th. So it's figuring out like, okay, what time is sunset? Because he wants that thing around sunset. So figured out it's 5:33 p.m. Now it went back to open table and it's finding on February 14th around 5:30 p.m. for 2 people. I probably did not pick the right example because obviously everything's taken up already, right? Everything's reserved. But notice that it continues doing it. So it found Rovino in La Jolla. And so now it's saying, okay, to complete your reservation, I need your first name, last name, phone number. Now, I didn't set up my profile on this because normally you would give it all the information and it would just go through and do it. If you're interested, I'll link the video down below in the show notes because the stuff this thing does is kind of mind-blowing. It will tweet for you. It'll go on Instacart, order a bunch of stuff and just check out for you. I even asked it to go onto Amazon and cancel some of the auto replenishment orders that I have, like the auto recurring orders. And it did that. Now, as you'll see in the video, if you end up watching it, it does run into certain issues. But here's the thing. After testing, I've tested a lot of these agents, and I've looked at a lot of studies that kind of benchmark these agents. The thing that it usually runs into, the issue, is the agent isn't able to intelligently figure out how to navigate. Like, it'll make poor reasoning choices. This thing, its reasoning abilities are excellent. Most of the issues I've run into are like tech issues, like it'll click a button that doesn't work. Or because it's a Chrome plugin, there's some like security issues. Chrome won't let it do certain things, so it'll prevent it from doing certain stuff. But those are easily fixable because they're not like, the AI is good enough to figure out what to click on and where to go. The rest is just kind of like coding and troubleshooting and working out the glitches and stuff like that. MultiOn is phenomenal. It's really good. I'll go ahead and close this, but I'm surprised to see it right here. I did not know it was on here. I just randomly picked this as sort of an example, and there it is. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if MultiOn or other similar things like this, they end up getting acquired for, maybe hundreds of millions. But anyway, so with that, let's back up a little bit. So I just wanted you to know the point of this. So this isn't just some fluffed up, presentation deck about nothing, some corporate nonsense. Like, this is, there's gold in their hills. So the abundance agenda. So they're talking about creativity and productivity, companionship and social wellness and personal growth. So we'll skip that because they go into it later for each one of those categories. And so this is the moment for consumer founders. AI creates opportunity for challengers. Just as mobile gave us WhatsApp, Instagram, Airbnb, Twitch, Uber, AI will birth a new wave of category-defining companies over the coming decade. The what if it works is enormous. Some of the biggest global software companies are consumer. FANG is a $3 trillion market cap and 10% of the S&P 500. Of the 15 largest exits ever, 13 were consumer-focused companies. Culture and technology are converging. America's two great global exports, culture and technology, are coming together in unprecedented ways. AI has captured the imagination of consumer and creatives, driving experimentation with and adoption of new AI products and tools at a record pace. So how a16z invests. So sort of the intersection of weird and working. So consumers can't be predicted, only observed. In consumer, success isn't determined by a team's pedigree or insights, by the product magic and founder intuition. Because of this, we're in the business of observation, not prediction. We focus on building magic and momentum and investing behind them. Culture shifts and platform shifts. We invest at the intersection of culture and platform shifts, where the products emerge that capitalize on or create new consumer behaviors. This is not just a function of timing, but how the technology comes to market and products that capture our imagination. Yeah, you see all these like big wins coming out of these random places. You have big companies trying to do product research about what people like, right? And then like the founder of Minecraft, Notch, whatever, just single-handedly creates Minecraft, right? And it sells to Microsoft for $2.5 billion. How World is blowing up right now, that game that's on Steam that looks like Pokemon with guns, basically. That's a small development team. I think the kid that made the models for them was like a middle schooler that worked at the local gas station. I guess that the developers used to go into, and they're like, hey, can you draw some stuff for us? He's like, yeah, sure. And that's the game that's printing. I mean, it's hundreds of millions, I believe, at this point, and it's been out and it's still in early access. Successful consumer products have strong word-of-mouth virality due to surprising or even unserious early use cases. For example, Snap being just a sexting app. But these products often fulfill a real need that shines through in engagement and retention metrics. Again, for me, it's always like the thing that you keep coming back to might be the big winner that you might not quite capture if you just have a little spreadsheet about it. Like for me, Perplexity AI, that AI-powered search engine, I keep coming back to use it. Other people that I tell about this thing that may not be always early adopters for tech things, they try it out and they stick with it as well. So there's just this virality and stickiness to where you're like, this thing is probably going to be a winner. It's not guaranteed, but it has all the traits of being a big, big winner. And so this is their investment thesis, where a team is excited to invest. So creativity and productivity. AI narrows the gap between idea and execution, enabling everyday consumers and creatives to do professional grade work. So we have content generation, content editing, and productivity. Somebody please build a video editing app that uses AI and that is just really good at doing it. All right, so content generation. So here's what they're looking for. So you no longer need years of training or knowledge of complex software to create art, music, videos, or graphics. So this, even 10 years ago, especially 10 plus years ago, was a big, big problem. Like, how many people nowadays would even understand what's happening in this image? Like, could they explain what this is, what these are, what this is, why this it's like a red color? Now, I know that you know what it is because YouTube shows me the demographics of my viewers, and we're all very, very old, but most people have no clue what this is. This is basically how people used to develop photos back in the days from film. You would take out the film out of the camera, then you put the image on paper. I actually forgot how you do that. Then you have to like give it a little bath in these little chemicals. And if somebody opened the door and let the light in, everything would just be ruined forever. Nowadays, younger kids are much better at taking pictures and videos than like the older you get, the more out of touch with it you are in general. So AI tools close the gap between creativity and craft for everyday consumers, and will also uplevel existing and professional creatives to produce more and better works at a lower cost. And if you've seen some of the artists in the artist community, and this is like, I'm generalizing, obviously it's not everybody, but there are some people who just really hate AI and are really fighting against it, including these attempts to create these like poison pills, these algorithms to try to corrupt the AI image generation models. And they're basically like violently opposed to AI being used to produce art and images, etc., because they're equating it to stealing from the artists and basically, putting them out of business. But now if you think of, creating art as talent plus skill, like the skill of drawing something, for example, we're kind of taking skill out of the equation. Now, as long as you have the idea, the vision, right, that talent to create, how much skill you need just keeps getting lower and lower and lower. You no longer do this or deal with the settings on the camera, you just push a button. That trend continues. And so what they're looking for is, here are the specific things that they're looking for when it comes to content generation. One is killing the blank page problem. So when people talk about like writer's block, right? When you open up, a blank page, a brand new page, you're like, where do I even start? Right? Something like ChatGPT can quickly help you brainstorm multiple ideas or give you a sketch or an outline or whatever. And so they give a few examples. So ideogram, which I don't think I've seen 11 labs. So I've used it quite extensively. If you ever saw a video of mine where that like sarcastic robot voice comes out and like makes fun of me, that's like this female voice that's kind of like, oh, you screwed that up, whatever. That's 11 labs. That's not a real person. Although it sounds like a real person that I know, which I didn't realize till they pointed it out to me. And that was kind of bizarre.
He's kind of slow on the uptake.
Next is Pika. So Pika is text to video. I believe we've tried it out, one of the front runners along with Runway ML. And now Google has their own version of it, which I don't think we're able to test out yet, but looks pretty good. And Suno is like a music and lyrics and vocals generator. So you tell it, hey, make me a rap about ChatGPT, and it does. And it's pretty good. I mean, it's not like music that you would put on the radio and sit there and listen to it, right? It's not like something that you work out to or whatever. It's not listening music, but as far as like demos go, it's pretty good.
In the bell where dreams unfold, a symphony of the machines foretold, a chorus of voices, ethereal and strong. We are the giants standing where we belong.
Then we have making open source models easily accessible. So some of the most interesting work in content generation is happening in the open source ecosystems, with developers fine-tuning and combining base models to push the limits of what users can create. However, it's hard for everyday consumers to download and run these models locally. They, absolutely have nailed this, I feel like. So the big models are very limited by what they can provide. They have to be very careful with, things like it being inappropriate or offensive, infringing on somebody's works or copyrights, etc. And there's not an easy way to like do that. So big companies, they tend to just like over censor and like really overdo it, so that there's like no chance that it'll produce something that's quote unquote bad. And a lot of the open source stuff, they don't care. You can do whatever you want. So if you want more like specific stuff, if you want stuff that's like off the beaten path, that's where you go for that. And the gap between, these big proprietary models where you can just open up a web page and click on a button and it just does it for you, right? That's super easy. Anybody can do it. And, delving into the open source ecosystem, that's super complicated depending on what you're trying to do. Like that goes very deep. It's very complicated. If you're trying to run it locally, you have to have like a beast of a system. And there is a number of companies that are doing this, but I mean, yes, I can see this being very, very huge, almost like a platform for open source stuff. So you pay the platform for ease of access. Then we have creating remixable outputs. And so the idea that every image, clip, or song can inspire another iteration or combination of its parts. So the idea that you can grab somebody's song or video or something like that and just kind of remix it, change it, like tweak it to your needs and wants, and maybe even having the original creator get paid off of that. Then we have enabling consumers to build content creation apps. And so as users take turns to generate more complex content, like, if you want to do like a 5-minute film instead of a 4-second clip, it's unlikely that one prompt or even one model will be able to handle every step of the generation. So the idea here is to kind of stitch them together so that you're able to basically create whatever you want. So in this space, the idea of creating, for example, movies using AI, like this is big. And I'm like really excited about this. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to do anything in that space, but for those of you that have wanted to create their own movies, their own stories, your own worlds, like this feels just so big. And I think we're going to see a lot better stuff coming from, small studios, one person, or maybe even a few people, and AI than these big studios spending millions of dollars producing stuff. Then we have content editing. Content editing is a long and painful process. This is very, very true. So what they're looking for is owning multimedia workflows. So many creative projects require more than one type of content. So users want to combine an image with text, music with video, animation with a voiceover. So you want to be able to kind of just like mix it up. So we've tried HeyGen, which is excellent. Like I can feed it videos of myself, and then it creates these realistic sort of versions of me speaking in whatever language that I want. If I can find the clips, I will post them here.
Willst du, bis der Tod euch scheidet, treu ihr sein für alle Tage? Willst du, bis der Tod euch scheidet, treu ihr sein für alle Tage? Du hast mich. Hola, siempre fui un gran fan de Better Call Saul, y debo admitir que el personaje de Lalo me cautivó completamente. Меня зовут Василий Зайцев, и я считаю, что «Враг у ворот» — это лучший фильм американского кинематографа.
And then besides HeyGen, there's Runway, which is another great one that can do quite a bit of cool things and is improving rapidly. They have some very interesting research going on into AI building world models that I can't wait to hear more about. Then we have enabling in-platform refinement. The final 10% of polish is often the difference in creating something good versus great. AI products can help users identify what can be improved and then automatically make those changes. So it's like the auto retouch feature on photos. On Google, I think it's called the portrait mode. And I mean, Magnific, I was blown away with Magnific. So here's Magnific. So this is before and this is after. So you can see it kind of like really sharpens everything, brings out the details. Here's another example. So as you can see, it's a little bit blurry. And then this is what Magnific does. It really like sharpens everything. Here's an example. So see how kind of this is like pretty low resolution, right? If we go like this, I mean, look at how it like brings out the details and the definition and everything else. And the thing is, obviously, it kind of makes stuff up, right? So this is not real, like if it's low resolution, it's low resolution. There's no extra data hidden there. So it kind of makes up what it thinks, but you can use prompts and various sliders to, change what you're making with it. So here's a blurry image and here's the magnifique image. So see how much more detailed it is. Here's old school Lara Croft, and this is how magnifique changes it. So this one is with creativity set to high. So you can set it to be much more closer to the original, or you can set it to like really go out its way to change it. And depending on those settings, the results you get can look very similar or completely different. All right, so that's in-platform refinement. Magnifique was the one we looked at. Topaz Labs, I tested back in the day, but I should probably give it another look. Then we have iterating with intelligent editors. So here they're talking about, taking an existing product or something that you're trying to edit and kind of refine it, regenerate one frame or feature without completely starting from scratch. So Pika is the one that we've looked at before. Automatically repurposing content. An enormous amount of manual editing goes into repurposing a piece of content for different platforms. A classic example is turning a long-form YouTube video into TikToks or IG Reels. Yeah, something like this that's like smart. This would be great if we can like intelligently chop it up into pieces that make sense. You know, part of me is concerned with how much garbage this could produce, right? Because you give everybody the ability to, you know, take a 5-minute video and turn it like 50 million pieces of content. That could be a problem. But whoever makes that app is going to make some money. Productivity. So this is where we started, right? So this idea of agents that act as systems of actions. So we looked over this one. We've covered MultiOn, which is excellent. Then we have voice first apps. And so this is the idea of just you do your voice dictation and it does whatever it needs to get done. You know, Rabbit, the Rabbit R1 device there. So they're going to be combining it with Perplexity AI, and you're going to be able to just talk to it with voice. I don't even think it has too many buttons on there. You just hold down the button like a walkie-talkie, you say what you want, and it goes and does that thing. I mean, something like that could easily replace a lot of your devices, potentially like your whole phone. If eventually you're able to say whatever you want done and it just does it, that would be pretty cool. Then we have apps that provide in-flow assistance. Context switching is deadly. I'm glad that they said that. I feel like a lot of people don't understand what a big toll context switching has on you, especially if you have ADHD. Like that is a killer. There's a study not too long ago where they took 3 sets of students and one would take their test sort of normally, you know, the control group. One would be like they were forced to sleep less the night before. One, it was like inebriated in some way. And the fourth one, like it was just completely normal, no issues, but it would get a text every 3 or every 5 minutes that they had to like pick up, reply to, and that's it. They would have to like reply yes or no. It was something simple, like they didn't have to think too hard about it, but they would have to focus on it for a few seconds. And that group did the worst. Like the drunks did better than that group because they had to switch from one task to the other. And even if it happened every 5 minutes, so maybe it happened just a handful of times throughout the test, like that killed their performance. So here they're saying with AI, users should never have to break the flow of their work. Information, ideas, or examples magically appear where and when is needed. So this might manifest in tools that own an entire workflow, like translating research notes into a final blog post or graphics. That is very interesting. I don't even know what that would look like, but I gotta say, having AI tools when I'm doing some research. So instead of having to go to Google, type it in, and then get hit with all the ads, then click on something and get hit with the cookie notification, and pop up, like all that stuff, it like takes you out of the flow. It's such a pain because each app, each web page just cranks up how much they want to distract you to like 11. Because they want to just harvest whatever information that they can out of you. They just want to squeeze everything out of you. And that makes it very difficult to stay focused while also trying to do research in that way. So that was huge for me. They're taking this to the next level, saying, how about like an entire workflow, some tool where you sit in that tool and you just bring in everything that you need to do that entire workflow to complete the project, like a research project, and turning it into the final script or the final paper or whatever. I haven't heard of any of these, but I'd love to take a look at those. Then you have build your own workflows. AI finally allows non-programmers to build automations that streamline their work. These may be information-based, like email me if an IPO is announced, or systems-based, like Slack me if someone submits a support ticket. Users will be able to specify what they want in natural language, with LLMs acting as intermediaries to allow users to stitch together much more complex flows than pre-AI. So again, I do want to take a look at these, but Zapier is doing a great job of incorporating AI into their thing, and it already hooks into so many different things that you're able to build these workflows. They're calling them workflows. I mean, to me, they're more like little automations. But yeah, whatever the case is, like this is the future. Autonomous agents, workflows, automations, whatever you call them, like being able to build your own. I refer to them as like swarms of agents that kind of go and do things on your behalf that you've like customized them to do. I feel like that will change the game of how business is done, of what productivity is. Recently, Sam Altman, founder of OpenAI, was talking to Alexis Ohanian, founder of Reddit. And so Sam Altman was saying that he and his group of CEOs that they chat with, like they're taking bets on when we're going to see the first one-person billion-dollar company. So when are we going to see one person, probably with this army of autonomous agents at their disposal, build a company that's valued at $1 billion. Now, I recall back in 2011, I think Forbes had this article. They were talking about the rise of one person, $1 million companies. So they were talking about one person that's generating $1 million a year in revenue. And they were saying how that used to be extremely rare and then it like rapidly increased. And a lot of that was through technology. And so now a decade plus later, we're talking about one person, $1 billion companies potentially being created with AI. And that's not just the monetary inflation. Like that's like we're talking a serious increase in productivity. So I think there's going to be some percent of the world's population that's going to do extremely well by utilizing these AI armies to build whatever businesses they want. And, for all the other people, there's companionship and social AI. I'm only partly kidding, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of people that will sort of rely on this to escape, I guess. So AI gives computers a personality. The days of rule-based chatbots are over. Today's bots can engage in free-flowing conversations about any topic that interests you. There are countless use cases, from companionships that keep you company to interactive live streamers and digital matchmakers. I never thought about this, although I think a Black Mirror episode covered that, but actually multiple Black Mirror episodes covered that exact thing. But when two people are out on a date, each of them having like their own little coach, and those like an AI coach, and those two kind of communicating together might help facilitate kind of a free-flowing discussion, maybe kind of like help reduce some of the social faux pas. Like I feel like there's something there that can not just tell the people what to do, but more like just like help them faster, more quickly find that common ground. I was at a party once where I was talking to several people, but there's this one person that was kind of boring. And I think we spent like an hour or two there. And like right as I'm leaving, I've mentioned something about Blizzard building their latest sort of big video game. This was a while ago. And so just to give you some context, this was in Irvine, California. For people that are familiar, like where the Spectrum Center is, and then those apartments kind of across the street over there, like the nice ones. Like that's where we were. And so just as I'm about to leave, this guy goes, "Oh yeah, I'm on that project. I work for Blizzard." Because it was like, why didn't you tell me that when I just first walked in? That was the first interesting piece of information about this person. So I feel like these little digital assistants could help us. Like, hey, this person, might be interesting to talk to if you're interested in Blizzard gaming, for example. Blizzard, their main headquarters were like across the street from where we were, for those that are not familiar. So here we have companionship. So, and they're both talking about, I like how they kind of like separate these out. So safe for work, right? Like friendship and assistance, and like not safe for work, like romance. Those AI companions will become part of everyday's daily lives, as they already have for millions of users. For people that kind of dismiss this because it's like whatever AI boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever. I mean, imagine having something like this, but like a coach, somebody that like from the time that you wake up, kind of kicks your butt in the right direction for you to get done. Whatever you get done, you set the higher level priorities, and they kind of help you accomplish your goals with whatever motivation that you prefer. You want them to be abusive. They know exactly which pain points to hit because they know you very well. You want them to be more encouraging. They know how to do that. You don't think people would want that? This David Goggins clip has millions of views, and it's just him running and yelling abuse at you. You ain't good, man. You're not blank good enough. So this could be like David Goggins yelling at your ear 24/7. Stay hard. All right. So they're talking about what they're looking for is one, differentiated value prop versus generalist chat products. And so to drive strong user adoption and retention, AI companion products need to offer something different or better than generalist products like ChatGPT. So this could be a model that specializes in content that mainstream models aren't good at or don't allow. So this is what we're talking about, right? So the farther you go from sort of like mainstream acceptable topics, right? The more and more use cases there are for these sort of differentiated products that are custom. Character AI is the big one that I've heard of. One of the people, I believe one of the researchers on Google's Attention is All You Need paper, like the people that kind of like discovered / invented the transformer, the thing that kind of in a way pushed this whole AI frenzy into existence. I believe one of those people, he left Google and started Character AI. So here's that paper. So I think most of them left. So they published that paper. It was kind of a big deal. And they all just skedaddled and built their own company. So I guess Noam Shazier made Character AI, one of them. And then these people went to Adept, Cohere, I guess ChatGPT, all right, or OpenAI, Inceptive, near incorporated. All right. And then, so we have new methods of interaction. Today, most interactions with AI companions happen via a simple chat interface. We expect that these companions will become more dynamic and live beyond the text box across all of the software and even hardware we use now, as well as new devices. Imagine a companion you can summon anywhere with a voice, avatar, and animation that feels like a real friend hanging out with you. So we have Call Annie, Momate, Rabbit, and Yodalio. So is Rabbit, so I'm guessing Rabbit is the R1 that they're referring to, the Rabbit device. And apps that enable memory and progression. Just like a human relationship, your relationship with AI companion should evolve. A companion should get to know you better over time, remember your previous conversations, and change the nature of the relationship. Some companion products may even up the stakes, with the AI able to evolve or even pause their communications if the user isn't engaging in some specific way. There used to be websites, there probably are still, where you can have it's like an anti-bet or anti-motivation. And people have made these bets with each other too, to where like if we both agree to show up at the gym every day, and if one of us bails, one of us doesn't make it, then the other one does something bad. Like they'll release some photos of the person that person, like their fat photos or whatever. So I guess kind of like blackmail, but motivational blackmail. So is this what they're talking about? Motivational blackmail with AI? Like it's going to do something horrible if you don't keep up your side of the bargain? And then we have social. So AI content is near indistinguishable from human content, and bots can now be real participants in social interactions. And so we expect to see consumers entertain themselves and their friends with AI characters and content across almost every place they spend time online. And we believe that AI will power better real-world connections between humans through enhanced matchmaking. Yeah, I gotta say, so a lot of the studies into AI, they take forms of games. And some of these games you can even participate in, like the one where it's kind of like Among Us. It was called Hoodwinked AI, where you're trapped in a house and, you're trying to escape, and there's other AI players in there, and one of them is trying to kill you, and you're trying to get away and escape. And the killer is trying to lie their way out of it. They're trying to like frame somebody else or confuse everybody and try to basically kill everybody before they can escape. And I gotta say, that was much more entertaining to me than I would have guessed. Because playing those games before AI, when they were just kind of pre-scripted, they were just kind of hard-coded what would happen, like it just wasn't the same. You could kind of go along with it, but it wasn't, there's no suspense really. Playing with other humans as also could be issues, because some people are more or less interested. Some people, want to play their own games, or just are not as invested in whatever you're doing, or just don't want to play that game with you in the first place. Here you have this AI that is capable of reasoning and trickery and all sorts of stuff, and its like whole mission in life is that game. It's going to keep playing until you tell it to stop. And there's something there. There's something very interesting there. So we have hybrid AI by human communities. So AI is a dynamic and often surprising conversational partner. We expect to see, yes, this is exactly what I'm talking about. We expect to see messaging and social apps where bots are treated as equal citizens. Bots should be able to join chats with you and friends and weigh in or spark discussions. No more dry group chats. We've also seen early versions of bot-centric social apps, think Instagram or X, where AI is creating the content and humans can jump in. When I think of large corporations doing this, it feels weird. However, I can see where this would be interesting with like open source stuff. By the way, if you're into science fiction, I just finally read this book through Audible, so it's an audiobook. Just last year, it's The Player of Games by Ian M. Banks, and wow, it's really good. It immediately, probably my top 10, maybe even top 5 sci-fi book of all time. And this kind of reminded me of it a little bit, the whole human communities with, AI communities, etc. But that book is really well done. It gets really dark at the end for like a little bit, but just excellent. Live interactive entertainment at a massive scale. And so AI allows anyone to be an entertainer with the help of generative avatars. So VTuber Neurosama is one example. So I guess this is Twitch. So the AI makes live content much more scalable with no humans behind the scenes controlling the storyline or speaking to the viewers. AI characters are already hosting interactive streams and shows in which they respond to audience questions, comments, or votes in real game. So I guess this is Neurosama. And so I guess tons of people are watching this. So this is an AI generated, avatar that's playing the game. So I'm not familiar with this, but I got to say, I think what they said at the very beginning makes a lot of sense, because they're saying like, we all think we can predict what people will or will not like. And the reality is just we can't. Like the consumer, right? The culture, whatever, just kind of takes its own shape and goes in its own direction. So if everybody prefers watching, these AIs, that could be huge, right? I mean, who knows? Should I do the rest of the video like this? Are you not entertained? No? Okay, fine. And next we have next gen avatars for next level communication. GIFs, GIFs, and images are a language of their own, and a very effective one. AI gives consumers a hyper-realistic digital likeness that they can use to instantly generate and share these assets. If you want to convince your friend to go on a trip, generate a photo of you two on the beach. So that's interesting. And then we have AI to make in real life matches, IRL matches. Today's matchmaking apps, whether for dating, friendship, or professional connections, are inefficient. They rely on users building a good profile, knowing what they are looking for, and swiping enough to find a fit, which reminds me. So there's this guy that trained a bot to swipe on Tinder profiles based on his preferences and used ChatGPT to message them and set up dates. So he was able to communicate with 5,200 women. And now 1 year later, he's engaged to one of them. So I guess this is in Russian. And so he was just able to have ChatGPT basically answer some of the stuff. So he built this Tinder bot alpha, and it would just like talk to the people inside the app. He would have some pre-written answers, or at least like if they ask like, where do you work? Like how he would answer, or how ChatGPT would answer for him. And so he's got this whole schematic about how the AI would choose the women. So like look at the actual visuals as well as some other data that they've uploaded, like their location and stuff like that, which makes you wonder, will nerds become like the players of the AI age? I mean, okay, so I guess this is legitimately them. This is not I thought this was like one of those stock photos. That's them. Okay. All right. So a16z, back to a16z. What if you could instead chat with a bot that learns about you on a deeper level and uses this information to make a curated set of matches, which kind of is like what that guy did. But of course, if you're the only one doing that, obviously that's a massive advantage. If everyone's doing that, the whole system breaks down. And so it does seem like a new system has to be kind of built on top of that, right? A different matchmaking system. It's like that thing where people keep saying Simpsons already did it or Simpsons already predicted it. I think like half of the AI stuff is like Black Mirror already did that. Black Mirror like has like 3 different episodes on just AI plus dating. And then we have personal growth. So every consumer will have a bespoke team of teachers, doctors, wealth managers, and coaches that collaborate daily to help them live their best life. So we're going to have education, personal finance, and wellness. So all of these are incredible. Education is huge. We've talked about the 2 sigma problem. Basically, when you introduce customized learning with one-on-one tutoring, that approach is 2 standard deviations better than the normal sort of school system where we have, a set schedule with set classes and, one teacher to many students. Like this basically turns any kid into an A+ student. Like it just drastically shifts that curve to the right. So this is going to be incredible. Personal finance, I think this is great because, and I think a16z has talked about this before personal finance apps could only read your information, right? So they can gather all your information on your transactions and then kind of show you little graphs, but they couldn't do too much to actually execute stuff on your behalf. Here, they can help better manage your money by, for example, paying your bills, setting some money aside. If you're going out, maybe having some sort of like, hey, your budget is this much, don't go beyond this. Like they can interact more with you to help you keep control of your finances. So in education, we have what they're looking for is multimodal ability. So basically having, allowing the users to input questions, topics, ideas in whatever form, whatever modality that they want, and then get a response in the media type that helps them learn best. And then new interfaces that break the ed tech mold. While some AI tutors may operate via more traditional formats like lectures or Q&A, we also anticipate the rise of more casual, experiential learning at scale. I feel like gaming could be huge here for learning all sorts of stuff from engineering to coding to whatever. If you can get players to grind the same boss, 100 times, spending, hundreds of hours doing that, you can get them to do something that's more productive like coding. And then go to markets that doesn't rely on schools. So AI doesn't solve the structural problems of selling into schools. We believe the strongest companies will force their way into the educational system through parents or even individual teachers who will pay for products that save them time and help their student learn better. bottoms-up adoption and engagement is key. So that's the key. You're not building something for the school administrator, not something that they might like or dislike. You're building something for the students, for the teachers, for the parents. It's like Seth Godin says, for example, marketers, they sell cat food to the cat food owners. They don't sell them to the cats, right? Because if they were selling to the cats, the flavors would be like mice and birds and pigeon and rat. Instead, they're like tuna and chicken. And then we have hyper specialized products. Building an effective and engaging edtech platform is hard. We expect the most successful products will be live at the intersection of a specific stage. For example, like kindergarten versus high school, and subject, for example, math versus reading, with an interface that uniquely serves those learners. Platforms here may even look overly narrow to start with, like reading tutors for preschoolers, but can expand over time. And then we have personal finance. AI finally unlocks the vision of money on autopilot, giving every consumer a financial advisor who executes decisions on their behalf. Imagine an AI that moves your money to constantly optimize your balance sheet. This may mean rebalancing funds, refinancing debt, or reserving cash for retirement. This one, the refinancing debt, there's so many different card offers, credit card offers, and as the interest rates change, you can save a lot of money by just going through those tasks of, applying for new credit cards, getting those free points. And you might have seen some people on YouTube that take this to the next level where they're basically live off of their credit card points. But it takes a lot. It's like binders and spreadsheets and just a lot of calculations. It's a lot of work. With AI, you can automate a lot of that. And so what they're looking for is, for example, cross-account visibility and management. So instead of having a Robinhood, Fidelity, and Wealthfront, they want one that gives a global portfolio view. So having multiple places with your money is okay, but there needs to be one thing, one agent that kind of looks over all of them. Auto optimization across accounts. So many consumers are overpaying for their debt, insurance, and bills. Yeah, insurance, how many people truly take the time to find the best insurance deals? But finding cheaper options, calculating the new net cost, and going to the efforts to switch or negotiate with providers is a very tall ask. AI agents can take over this process by constantly monitoring the landscape and executing on a transfer if needed, with little to no action required from the user. And then programmatic investing using natural language. So you're basically using natural language or decision trees, and consumers with no knowledge of code can build algorithms that execute trades for them. And then complex transactions move from services to AI. So we have many financial decisions that are too complex to be automated with a single click. Think tax planning or wealth management. And human judgment and consumer preferences have a real influence on the approach. And this is going to lower the cost and make the one-on-one financial services available to every consumer. And so a lot of these services can be taken over or augmented somehow with AI. And so that's going to lower the costs and make these one-on-one financial services available to every consumer that wants them. And then with wellness, we have our data-first approach. So instead of having general tips or advice from a checkup every few months, this is going to be real-time and customized to you, human-like interaction. And so we're seeing some AI systems have better accuracy at diagnostics than doctors, and better bedside manner than human doctors. So this certainly could be big. And then we have daily use case with memory, and health is a journey that demands consistent commitment. So these AI products would, have these daily check-ins or 2 to 3 times per day check-ins, and making sure you're adhering to your behavior. If you've ever done macro tracking or calorie tracking or whatever, that's a pain in the butt. If you can automate that would be incredible. And here are some of their investments. So a16z, they invested in 11 labs, Civitai, Ideogram, Luma, Captions, Descript. Descript is very good at video editing using AI. A little clunky. Needs a little bit more work, but it's really good. And then Character AI, and looks like they have some unannounced investments in creative tools, app builders, etc. So that's what they're looking for. That's where they see the big opportunities. But if you have an idea that's kind of outside of some that they mentioned here, that's just fine. They're looking for really huge returns. And so they're going where they see really, really big money, billions of dollars, etc. Now, of course, bigger rewards also means bigger risks, more competition. So I don't think it's necessary to go chasing one of these. But if you're feeling ambitious, if you're looking for one of those big categories, I think they've covered a lot of really big ones, really good ones. On top of this, there's also gaming, which they've talked about before, not here, but that's another big one. But whatever sort of industry or category you're going for, keep this in mind, this idea of agents that act as systems of actions, as they put it, over the next years. Let's say the ability of these agents to execute complex tasks that you give it will just keep getting better and better. This will have an impact on you, whatever you're doing, whether you're building a business or you're just trying to be more productive in your career or in your personal life. Let's say you collect rare Pokemon cards. This could help you, scour the web for the latest listings of those rare and hard to find Pokemon cards. The AI agent could go and start negotiating on your behalf. So this is brand new to the world, and it's going to be just fascinating to see how it affects everybody, how it affects the economy, how it affects people's productivity. But I feel like 2023 was the year where people were like demoing this stuff and testing it out and seeing what was possible. And 2024 is the year that people are building. MultiOn is much more useful than I would expect it to be. Perplexity AI is much more useful than I expect it to be. Last year, some people were saying, ChatGPT is cool, but what are the use cases? Well, here comes the tsunami of use cases of actual things that make your life easier when you use these tools. So if you're building this stuff, I'm looking forward to seeing what you build. If you're not building it, I think it's important for all of us to start learning how to use it, spot the latest, greatest things, and kind of start incorporating it into our lives and, using it to be more productive, to free up more time, etc. And now I'm going to go and edit this video. Somebody please create something that makes it so I don't have to edit another video in my life again. I would pay you for that. The script is good. It's great. I love it, but it's still editing. I hope you enjoyed that video. My name is Wes Roth, and thank you for watching.